The Russian invasion of Ukraine has changed the world. My question today is, how should our prayer and our teaching, our discipleship in this new world also change? Hi, I'm Warren, the rector here at St. Columba's. Glad you could join me for my message of the day. Did you see on TV or on the internet that little video of a Russian tank rolling down a street and then it suddenly veers off to crush a car going in the opposite direction? I think it's a great little metaphor for what Vlad the invader is trying to achieve in the Ukraine, just roll the tanks in over the top. I think we'd all hoped that that kind of behaviour was a relic of history, the kind of naked aggression that might engulf more than just a localised area, that could engulf whole regions, even a continent. And we hope that international instruments of order and American power would enable that to, over time, become a relic of history, and that we could minimise local conflicts too, even if we couldn't stamp them out completely. Well, I think that's changed. We can see that now. Those instruments and American power is crumbling. But I think our prayer, from all of my life as an Anglican, I think our prayer has reflected that hope that has now, in an era that has now changed. So we might say prayers like, we pray for a cessation of conflict in Ukraine and that Russian forces will withdraw to the border. Well, who couldn't agree with that prayer? Of course. But in a way, it's a prayer for a previous age, because it assumes that nations, leaders, should recognise an international instrument like a border. I think the situation has changed, and I think we need to rethink how we pray, how we think of Christians as Christians in the world, and what we think is ethical in this world, and what we might teach as ethical. On Friday, when I went to morning prayer, I warned those who were there that I would be saying a prayer for the Ukrainian military. I also prayed for all those people who are trying to bring peace in more standard ways, but for the military and for those who would be supplying them with the weapons to resist. That while they had the energy, the will, that they would be given courage and determination to defend their country. The implication is that they will kill people. Some people, I think, might find that offensive to be prayed in church. But I think that's a prayer for, it's me attempting to grapple with the changed situation. I used to think when I was a pacifist, 20 odd years ago, that all war was wrong. Then when I stopped being a pacifist, and I think this just shows why we should not have, as Christians, our natural response shouldn't just be pacifism. But once I stopped being a pacifist, I used to say then all war was wrong, but sometimes there are worse sins than war. I don't even say that now, because a war of self-defence, if a country has a right to self-defence, a right cannot be a sin. So no, I think there are times when it is right to go to war. I wouldn't even call it a sin. But that all has to be, I think, that's part of the new, this has all been discussed before, of course, but now it's really up front for us. This could also lead us to rethink some of the past, or how we make easy judgments of previous generations of Christians, where we think that they too easily wove their faith into war. Undoubtedly that happened, but maybe not. It might not be quite as simple as we think. This changed world is going to impact us in lots of ways. It's primarily going to ask us how we as Christians in the nation of Australia are faithful to Jesus and to God, as the structures we set up enabled us to be what would now look naive, if not avoiding the truth, the reality of the world. Thanks for joining me. Goodbye.